Title, The Noise. Logline. Two lost souls broken by grief cross paths at the edge of death and must face their pain together to find a way back to life. The synopsis of the story. John sits alone in his ute, staring at the unforgiven ocean. Today marks 1 year since his wife, Margaret, died. It's been a year of suffocating grief, of sleepless nights and the haunting of a relentless noise in his head. He can't escape. He came to this beach to end it all, to finally silence the noise of grief. But then he sees her. Julia stumbles across the sand, her body racked with sobs, her face twisted in anguish. She walks into the water, her steps unsteady, determined to let the ocean claim her. John's instincts take over, and without a second thought, he plunges into the freezing waves, dragging her back to shore. Their fates collide in that moment. Two strangers, both broken, both ready to give up, now forced to confront the pain they tried to leave behind. John refuses to leave Julia, haunted by the thought of what could have happened. He stays by her side, silently watching over her, recognising the darkness in her eyes, because he sees it in his own reflection. She fights him at first, resists his presence, but she's too exhausted to push him away. Days blur into nights as John cares for her, feeding her when she refuses to eat, sitting by her side when nightmares tear her from her sleep. They are two shattered souls bound by grief and guilt, but slowly their walls begin to crack. Julia finally speaks, her raw voice, her pain palatable. She tells John about Alan, her husband, her soulmate, the man she watched die piece by piece, day by day. John listens, his heart breaking for her, because he knows that same unbearable pain. He shares his own story of Margaret, of her similar fate, of the years spent drowning in the sea of noise manifested by grief. Their confessions become their salvation. In each other they find echoes of their own suffering, and in those echoes they find the strength to keep going. John forces Julia to face the world again, taking her on walks, introducing her to Max, a scruffy little dog with sad eyes and a wagging tail. She resists, haunted by memories, but John is relentless. Little by little she begins to live again. Together they visit the places they once feared, the beach, the park, the lake, and turn them into the places of healing that they laugh, they cry, they break, and they rebuild. A year after they first met, John and Julia return to the beach. This time, they are not alone in their pain. They stand side by side, survivors who saved each other, not by erasing their grief, but carrying it together. They open a grief support centre, giving purpose to their suffering, offering hope to others trapped in the same darkness. They transform their pain into strength, their loss into love. The waves crash against the shore, constant and unyielding. The noise is still there, a whisper in the distance, but it no longer controls them. They face it together, ready to live again.
I'm rolling, and you just go whenever you're ready.
Okay, tones and themes. Like, The Noise is a deeply emotional drama exploring grief, redemption, and human connection. It captures the raw pain of loss, but also the resilience of the human spirit, you know? The story is grounded in the quiet, understated beauty of the Australian coastline. I mean, look at it. You know, and using the vastness of the ocean as both a metaphor for grief and a source of healing as well. This film aligns with the tradition of powerful Aussie dramas, like Mystery Road or The Dry, even some elements of Jasper Jones, blending in intense emotional depth with breathtaking, natural landscapes. The film's quiet, meditative tone is punctuated by moments of raw emotion, authentic dialogue, and a deeply purgative conclusion. Why this story matters. Grief is universal, but yet often misunderstood. The Noise offers an honest, unflinching, raw portrayal of loss, but it at the same time refuses to let its characters remain victims of their pain. Instead, it celebrates the idea that even in our darkest moments, connection can pull us back from the edge. With a strong Australian identity, the story resonates deeply with audiences who appreciate heartfelt, character-driven narratives. It's a film that stays with you, a reminder that healing is possible, not through forgetting, but through finding meaning in our pain. Now, like audience and marketability, I guess, with its intimate character focus, The Noise could be positioned for both Australian and international festival circuits, with potential appeal to distributors of indie dramas and maybe even some streaming platforms. The story is deeply personal, yet widely relatable, offering opportunities for a wide audience connection, regardless of age or religion or anything. Now, like the visual direction and approach, I said, is like the Australian coastline serves as both a character in itself and a backdrop, mirroring the emotional stress of John and Julia. Cinematography, to me, will emphasise natural light, wide empty spaces, and close yet intimate framing of the characters to contrast their isolation and their growing connection. The sound design will subtly incorporate the noise. John experiences an ever-present hum that intensifies at points in the story, but gradually fades as the healing begins. My final thoughts. The Noise is a film about love, loss, and finding a reason to keep going where it all seems lost. It's an emotionally raw and beautiful story that reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we must never lose the sight of light. There's always hope. Always. Thank you.
Why do you want to tell this story?
Why? Well, the noise, for example, people ask me about the noise. They say, what is the noise? And I say to them, well, the noise is just... All right, I'll go back to where I started. I'll do a brief, but I'll tell you where. As soon as I found out that Marg was going to die, the noise started. And the noise is emotion. It's thoughts of regret, times you missed out, things that you said, whether it be minor or major, it's regardless. But all those thoughts come at once. They come at once, not one at a time. They come at once. And they're continuous. One stops, next one goes, next one, and next one. And it's the noise. It's a noise in your head that you can't concentrate. You can't think. How can you? It's like someone yelling at you in your head, and you're trying to do something. You're trying to think, do anything. It's difficult. That's what the noise is for me. It has... I didn't even see it coming when it started. It was so gradual that I didn't even notice it. But the noise encompasses you like a bubble. It's a noise of grief. That's what it is. And when you're in that, it's like you're in your own world. It's like pain can penetrate, but nothing good. So I equate it to a fog. It's like trying to see something, trying to do something through something that you can't even see through. And sometimes no matter what you focus on and how much you try and concentrate and fight it, you can't. It's just so overwhelming. And the noise comes from, this story comes from my life, of how I tried to dull the noise or even tried to get rid of it. So I went on these crazy drives all the time, listening to loud music all the time to try and dumb it out, deaden it, do anything to it. I blew my fucking speakers in my car from playing so loud. Didn't work. Nothing worked. Here, bud, Marg loved the ocean. She loved this sound. And I remember it was one of her favourite places when we first met, to come to the beach. And we'd walk around, look for shells. But it was the sound, bud. It wasn't the spot. It was that sound. And eventually, after my crazy drives, I would come to the beach. I would come to go to spots where we used to go. And I would find peace there. That would be, for how temporary it would be, it would just, the noise would just deaden it enough for me to, take a breath. But I found that this noise is not unique. I found that this is, others, especially with spousal grief, are the same. They feel the same. And I guess by doing this film, I'd like to help someone out of it. Show them that there's light in that darkness eventually, if you just keep looking. And if you just have hope. And anyway, I'm doing this in dedication to my wife. She wanted me to do this. I'm not prepared like many other people. Like I said, I have the noise in my head still. I find it very difficult to write even what I've just written. Thank you for listening. I don't have much of a script or anything really. I guess if I ever did have to do this film or whatever, I would have to need help, but that's okay. Thank you for listening and watching. I honestly, through my life, I don't expect anything anymore in my life. I take whatever comes. I have no expectations of whatever's going to happen with this. But all I'd like to do is thank you, and Screen Illawarra and TAFE and my crew have given me that light out of the darkness. Thank you.